Business Source is proudly sponsored by JCH Communications. When it comes to marketing, we mean business. From websites to videos, we can guarantee you a return on your investment. Take a look now on our website at our video, www.jchcom.com. Hi, and welcome to Business Source, brought to you by Connecting Business. Our thanks as always go to our great sponsors, JCH Communications, for all your digital marketing needs. And now, the show that gives you authentic conversations to help your business. No smoke and mirrors, just real people sharing their experiences. I'm your host, Lee Nightingale, and my guest today is someone I've recently become aware of, respect, and have started to follow. He's a highly engaging yet humble man that takes nothing for granted and is passionately committed to his mission. I'm delighted to welcome on the show Mr. Alfie Best. Alfie, hi.
Pleasure's mine. Thank you, Lee. I wasn't sure if you were talking about me then or somebody else. I was looking around thinking, is there anybody else in the room here? But
and there we go, humble at its finest. Alfie, if you could just maybe set the scene for the viewers. I'm sure my viewers and listeners are definitely different to the ones that you've got on your own sort of social media following, and therefore they may not necessarily know who you are and what you're about. If you could just give us a short synopsis of who you are, what you're about, what your businesses are, what you're involved in.
Okay, my name's Alfie Best. I'm 50 years old. I own and operate around about 16 different businesses, about 16 different businesses. Wildcrest Parks is one of them. Varun Motorhome Hire is another. Best Park Home Finance. Kyoto Garden Furniture is another. Alfie Best Property Business Academy. Alfie Best Publishing. And I'm involved in the Laurie Stone Exposure, which is a PR company. We also have an aviation company, and we also hire out high-end vehicles like Bugattis. We do that through one of our partners. And there's a number of other small companies that we have. We have many different types of businesses that all come together. And when you go through them, there is a synergy, such as we own a number of golf courses. But with the golf courses, we give our residents 50% discounts on memberships for the entirety that they're a resident on one of our parks.
Right.
Or one of our other companies, which is Wildcrest Holiday Parks, we give them a 50% discount as well. So we try to make it that it's beneficial, but it doesn't rely on each other. Right. Because I see so many companies that do well, they then buy into another company, but that company then tends to rely on the mainframe company. That's dangerous, because if one falls, they both fall.
Absolutely. They still have to be able to operate independently and be successful independently. And the cherry on the cake is they can benefit and come together.
It's a complement where they complement each other, not rely on each other.
Absolutely. Thanks for that. Sounds like you're a very busy man. It's well documented and freely available on the internet about your life story and how you got where you are and where it all began. So I don't want to go over old ground with that, as wonderful as it is, and I thoroughly enjoyed learning that. People can Google you and hear all about that. I wanted to sort of get into you, the way you think, and decision making, that kind of thing. So it isn't any secret that you didn't come from large wealth at any point, but at which point did you decide that you wanted to change your life? I'm looking for that pivotal point that sort of put you onto the path of where you are today.
I can't say that I ever wanted to change my life, if that makes sense. What I wanted to change was the circumstances of my life. And I had a conversation yesterday, and one of the questions I was asked was, when did I feel that I was successful? And I don't feel that I'm successful. success is catered from different types of mirrors that you look in. I can tell you this, when I was 30, my net worth was worth somewhere in the region of £5 million. And that money and businesses that I'd earned and worked with was, I can only tell you, blood money. It was blisters and tears, and my first success was based solely on financial gain. I wanted to change the circumstances of where I was without changing who I was. I'm born as a gypsy. That comes with a stigma. You know, gypsies, tramps and thieves, and they still write songs about it today. So that means the bar is set higher for me to overcome. And I accept that. You know, we can't change the mindset of people in an instant. It takes decades. And the one thing that I can tell you, there is good and bad people in all, but people only ever want to talk about the bad. You know, forgive me for saying this, but Hitler was regarded as one of the worst men in history. But yet he was Man of the Year on Time magazine in 1939. People, you know, are very easy to celebrate you at one moment and rip you down another. Now, I know that's a severe way of putting it and talking about somebody like Hitler, because he killed an awful lot of the Jewish fraternity. What a lot of people don't know, on per head count of the amount of people within society, he actually gassed and killed more gypsies. Very unknown fact.
It's not something they teach you in school, that's for sure.
So what I would say is we see these things, but you know, I wanted to change where I was, not who I was. And when I started,
money does change a number of people through the years. We've seen that, I'm sure.
And I worked hard, blood, blisters and tears, you know, bought cars, sold cars, travelled auctions, opened up mobile communication shops, sold that business, went on to property, went bust when I was 20, had a murmur at 20, collapsed across the desk. You know, they were difficult, hard. I can't tell you the, now I've got the hair standing up on my neck when I think of the pain to do that.
Absolutely.
And my goal was financial security, financial wealth. And by the time I'd got to 30, I'd made or amassed £5 million. And that's 20 years ago. When I was 30, I found my passion. And then when I found my passion, my success or my goals were no longer based on financial benefit. My goals were then based on the passion of what I did. That's what I'm trying to say. This is very telling. Today, as we sit here, my net worth is somewhere in the region of 550 million. 2 years ago, I was in the Sunday Times with a net worth of 341 million. I think putting me in the top 300 or top 400 wealthiest people in the country. Today, I'm somewhere in the region of 550. But I no longer go to work. And in the last 20 years, I didn't go to work for the financial benefits. I already achieved that, because at 5 million, it gave me everything that I'd ever wanted or needed. But when I found my passion, the success came quicker. The success came differently, and the rewards followed. And I was no longer counting the money as a financial gain. I was counting the benefits of what I was doing. And that comes in the form of affordable housing in residential park home estates.
Yeah.
What better person, somebody who's born and bred and lives in a caravan, that knows that industry back to front, that has travelled the roads to buy a home from, in the form of a park home or a mobile home or a caravan. It is my life, it's my passion. So when I found that, the success came so much quicker. So
And much more enjoyable, I imagine.
That's what I was just about to say. So the moral of the story is, if you chase the money, you'll be chasing it to the grave. If you chase your passion, it's not work. It's a passion of love.
Absolutely. The thing I relate to there is I mentioned on our pre-call there about my caddying experiences. You know, did I earn any money out of it? No, but boy, did I enjoy it. That for me was like almost being in heaven, like walking those fairways with those professional golfers, helping them get from A to B to Z, all the way through to Z in the lowest score possible. For me, it was just a complete and utter joy. I didn't see it as work at all, even though I was getting paid, of course. But
look, if you find something that is your passion and you are passionate about it, you will never work another day in your life. A football player, his passion is playing football. But in effect, he's a businessman because that's what he gets paid to do. The only thing is, his careers are reversed in the way that we work in business. We have to wait till we're 25 or 30 to go through the pain and the stress to learn our trade, to make our business successful. And it's then the second half of our life we are pushing our businesses to become successful. Whereas athletes, football players, boxers, their success can come earlier on. But the problem with it coming earlier on, the second half of their life, they haven't had the training in the business sense. Do you follow what I mean?
Yeah, I do, and you know, they're sort of getting all that wealth, doing something they're passionate about immediately at a very young age, and then their football career stops, and they're like, "Eek, what, you know, what do I do? What do I know? I don't have necessarily an alternative," and that's interesting.
Now that's the sign of a good businessman, because I've stopped peddling under the desk for the lights to come on and the lights to go off. Now our lights are based here on sensors, so I hope you enjoyed that. Because you're thinking, my God, that's a great business.
Another 50p in the meter, Alfie.
So now I have to get up, wave my arms, and just like it, they appear.
Another 50p in the meter.
Another 50p in the meter.
But just thinking back to when you started, because you know, people often ask the question, well, how did you actually get started? Let's say you have zero. It's difficult to start a business on zero, but not impossible. So in terms of when you first started, how did you go about raising the capital to get it going? You know,
here is a thing that we're taught in school and we're taught in colleges. I left school when I was 12. So I didn't go out there and raise capital. I went to work in what I did. But what I did raise was knowledge. Raising capital isn't easy by any means of the imagination. But it's a lot easier than growing it from zero. And I swear to you, that's what I've done with every business. Grew them from ground zero. I was prepared to start small. Nobody wants to start small. Nobody wants to start
how
small.
you learn, and because you have to wear all those different hats. You know, you are the sales, marketing, support, delivery guy. You're everything, right?
When I first started in the commercial vehicles and car trades, I used to go to an auction. I scrimped and scraped and saved enough money up to buy one vehicle. But before I bought that vehicle, I did my research. I stood there through the cold, wind and rain for weeks. Didn't just buy the first one because I became impatient. I took my time and I bought the cheapest one that I could. And it happened to be a Land Rover. What I also then did was sent that four-wheel drive Land Rover to the middle of Wales, where that particular vehicle is much more needed. And actually people will pay more for that type of vehicle, only a small amount. But then when I was there at that auction, I looked for vehicles that were small, minis, and were automatic. Because in Wales, people don't like automatic cars.
No.
But in London, they love them because of stop-start traffic. So I then realised and learned I could cross-trade. I go into one auction to sell something, go into that auction to buy something. But now I've found a niche. And the niche,
effectively moving assets to where they were most needed that resulted in profit.
be an expert in your field, and people will want to talk to you about your field. If you want to sell oil, make sure you're talking to people in the oil industry. If you want to sell carpet, make sure that you're talking to people in the building industry that are building houses, blocks, and that you're talking to the finishers, the floorers. Whatever it is, don't go and talk to the wrong person. Because what you'll get is an opinion. And opinions sink ships. The greatest story that I ever heard, which I don't know whether it's true or not, and I really don't know, but it's a great story and I love it. There was a guy that had a cargo ship company, and they had every mechanic and every person they could possibly get from every type of big company to get the engine functioning. Nobody could do it. Then this old boy turns up and he just cranks the engines over, listens to it, pulls out a small hammer and taps the engine twice. And lo and behold, the engine fires up. So he sends them a bill for £4,000. The company quibbles and says, how on earth can you charge £4,000 for 20 minutes worth of work when all you did was tap it with a hammer? Could you please itemise your bill? So he sent the bill back, hammer, £2, 25 years worth of experience and knowing where to hit the hammer, 3,998.
Yeah. Very, very similar. I remember hearing that one. I guess it's similar to the guy, the consultant that was brought in to make Swan matches more profitable, where he said, I can almost double your profits overnight, but I want £1 million for doing it. And they said, oh, that's preposterous. And I thought, okay. So they paid him the £1 million. He said, right, only put sandpaper down one side of your matchbox, and not two. You don't need two. So it's having that knowledge.
I heard
I'd love
that.
to jump into the most recent thing that you've been involved in, certainly in the public, which is the Undercover Big Boss show, which was originally Undercover Bosses, I believe, on Channel 4, and now switched to ITV. The episode went out on the 5th of August. For those people that want to watch it on catch up, I highly recommend it. It's very engaging, funny, humbling, starring the man himself. But I wanted to understand what prompted you to go on that show. Had you had inklings that there was trouble at the mill, as it were, and that you needed to get under the covers and find out what was going on?
The answer is no. But anybody that thinks they've got a perfect company hasn't got a perfect mind. Every company has flaws. and we have plenty here. And what better opportunity to actually go out there, and I found more than I actually thought I was going to find. That's the real one, God's honest truth. They approached us because we're the biggest park operator in Europe. And of course we have issues. Every company does. We try to learn from those issues every day. But did I think that there was real things that I needed to go undercover for? No. My team were very much against it, because what I preach here is that we are a family. We work together. My son was very much against it. And he was like, hold on a minute. People are going to think you're spying on them. People are going to think your team are going to think you're going to try and catch them out on the program. My son actually said, and that was all real, he said, an undercover policeman doesn't go out there and tell you he's a policeman. He went, and that's what you're doing. So,
but there is the risk, though. You know, if you walked in as the owner of the business, Alfie Best, and said, "Okay, tell me what's going on here," people are scared of sharing the truth about the challenges and problems. A lot of people are, not everybody, but a lot of people are scared because there's genuine fear of the repercussions of being that open, honest, and truthful. That, oh, if I tell him really what's going on, I might get the sack, and then I can't pay my mortgage, and then I can't feed the kids. There's a whole downward spiral of negative thought. That way, going undercover, you had that ability to get the raw, real view.
And that's exactly why I did it. Because one of the things I didn't realize how much people do sugarcoat things to me. You don't, and that comes from both sides. There are 3 points to a story: their side, your side, and the truth. Because even if we're trying to tell the truth, human nature is we sugarcoat it a little bit towards ourselves. You know, you're driving home and you're late, going home to your wife, you've got no reason at all to lie. You'll always be 15 minutes, where really you're going to be half an hour. You know, those types of little things, we don't look at them as stretching truth, but we all are. So in business, when people are sugarcoating things, that has a real bad effect on a company, because you're not getting the real hard fact. I found some difficult problems, some difficult issues, and we've had our issues, we've had our problems. Actually, some of them, to be fair, were where we were doing the right thing, but criticised for doing the wrong thing, and I'll explain to you. We buy old, run-down mobile home parks, and we then set about improving them. Now, you would think everybody would embrace that. Every resident on a park will embrace what improvements you do. They don't, because nobody likes change. They want the parks improved, but they don't want to put up with the upset of the building works that it takes and the problems that councils bring.
Yeah.
And then those residents ring councils, complain to them. Councils make knee-jerk reactions. That slows us down. It doesn't stop us. We've had stop notices. We've had enforcement notices, all of which, by the way, have been removed, and we've been paid compensation by the councils on more than one occasion. All it did was prolong us. So the way I would describe it is we're buying old parks, we're coming in to refurbish them. And imagine that you bought a house that needed refurbishing. Well, that's wonderful. But imagine doing it with somebody living in the house.
Yeah, absolutely. They want to get from A to Z without going through the process. They want the net result of the nice shiny park and all the facilities and amenities that you're trying to provide them. They just don't want the disruption, the noise, and everything that goes with it.
And we have a duty of care to our residents. My residents come first in every walk of life within our parks. Do we get it right all the time? No. How can we? We're not perfect. I'm not God. I don't wave a magic wand. And, residents will sometimes circumvent the structure that we have in place here to try and speak to me to get something done. And they don't realise I'm the worst person to ask because I know nothing about that problem. Actually, we've got a manager on site that's actually there. The sensible thing is to do, if they're not getting that reply, still email the manager, but copy me in. And then I can then say, hold on, this is breaking down.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I have to go off and research it for nearly a week to find out what's going on, talk to this one, talk to that one. And then I know that I've got the whole story. And we're now putting in more procedures, better procedures, to make sure that our residents are heard much better. And look, we've grown as a company. We've got 16,000 residents. 16,000.
16,000 different opinions, I imagine, as well.
Look, I'll say this to you now. I embrace the opinions of all of my residents because mainly they're semi-retired and retired. Now, I know that I'm 50, but I still look at them as the older generation because I was brought up in a respectful family. I was actually brought up to call my elders uncle and aunt, no matter who they were, out of a respect. So I'm very respectful. Does that mean that, and I have a passion for this business. I have a passion to create better lives for people that are in houses that they can't afford to live in. Like, let me just put this into perspective. To buy a park home and downsize from a like-for-like bungalow in the area, a park home is 50% or less of the value of a like-for-like property. 50%. So that allows people to downsize to the same size property, pay no stamp duty, pay no land registry fee. Electric is normally approximately 28% cheaper. The reason for that, it flows through one commercial meter normally to the park. It's then subdivided at cost. And it's a criminal offence not to pass it on at cost. And I see people complain. And there is one council guy, he got complained at by one resident who was living on a park for 12 years, who had a very, 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 very nice home. He said, well, if it's that bad here, why are you still living here? And again, I've got to put another 50p and apologise.
Time to wave around.
Sorry, apologise about that. And what I would say is we take the good with the bad. We don't shy away about talking about, the negative stuff and just talk about the positive stuff. That's not how you move forward as a company. How you move forward.
That's demonstrated by the decision you made to not only do what you did in terms of going undercover, but you put that in the national/global eye, and that takes guts and confidence, but again, that sincerity element to it, that you were there to really get to grips with what was going on. Interestingly though, how did you decide on which of the locations and the employees that you were going to shadow and work with? Did that come naturally? Where did that come from?
I didn't. Nobody was picked by me. I wasn't even allowed to know who they were. They were picked by the production company, and man, hats off to them. They did a great job. The production guy, and I won't mention their names because that would be unfair, but they were.
So they almost did a pre-undercover where they maybe visited some of the sites.
Yes, they did. That's exactly what they did. They went round to the parks. They went round to the sites. They interviewed different people, telling them they were going to make a television program about a new employee that was looking to change his life.
Right.
That was the
Of course,
whole
the
thing.
story had to ring true, right? It had to follow on naturally from it.
Yes. And I didn't know who I was going to see until the day before. And I had no editing rights at all over the television program. You know, was it frightening? Yeah, I didn't know what was going to come out of it. All I can say is I knew that I was an honest person. I knew that I was upfront. I knew that I was passionate about my business. And if I get shot and, you know, fall over and criticised for being that, then so be it, because I'm not going to change.
Yeah, and credit to ITV. Other TV channels are available. We must give that disclaimer, I'm sure. You know, they could have, but they didn't, you know, focus on a lot of the negative. They found a really great balance, I feel, in showing you, your values and everything. But when it came to the troubles, but also the positive, you know, that those people that were on the show, they really did highlight their strengths and how hard they were trying, and the progress that they'd made, everything they were trying to do in a positive way. So credit to them for showing that in a really great way.
I think what they did was gave a balanced view of what we deal with as a company on a day-to-day basis. They showed our failings on a day-to-day basis, and they showed our positives that actually as a company we were doing things to help.
Yeah.
One of the things that wasn't filmed, that was filmed on the show but wasn't shown, was one of the residents complained that they couldn't get through to our complaints line. So on camera, I phoned our complaints line as a resident, and they took the details down, and within 60 seconds of me putting the phone down, they rang through to Julio, the maintenance guy, to report the job that he had to go and do, and this is what the problem was. That was, but what that did was allow me to check the systems,
Yes,
to see if they worked. And like the other thing that when my alter ego William Finney was finding the wet wipes down the drains, but the resident didn't want to hear that there was a problem being caused. It was our fault because it was blocked up. You know, like, I must confess, I found that a little bit amusing. I was like, really?
Yeah, it's like these pipes are coming from your property. You know, if I could dig the ground up and show you the pipe, let me show you what's causing it. But you're looking at them. What I really found enlightening, or what I want to get into, was about the sales guy on the show, that he was not making decisions that you felt were in line with what your values were, i.e. yes to everything. You know, you might not like the answer as to how we get there. You mentioned about you wanted to empower him to be able to make those decisions. What have you done since that show that has enabled him to have that confidence to make those decisions?
What we've done on each of our area managers, so in effect his boss, we've now put forward, which has been accepted by all of the area managers, and we have, I think it's 12 area managers, have to bring in place now a Zoom call or a meeting on site on different parks with the other parks that they manage, because an area manager may manage 10 parks. So, and from the maintenance to the sales to the administration in those office on those parks, because some parks have one maintenance guy, other parks may have 10 due to the size and the consistency of the park or what it is. And we make sure that every one of those people now has a voice, that they're not just doing the job and there are pigeonholed into a box, or he cuts the grass. No, we want to hear from the grass cutter now. We want to hear from the development side. They're not just ringing us or ringing the manager when they need them. They have a choice now to speak up. Because I felt he had let himself down. I felt that he had let the company down, not through his work ethic, by far not that, but by, look, if you don't feel that you can make a decision within a company and have broad enough shoulders to take what comes, what are you doing there? If they don't want to hear your voice, how is that a career? It's just a job.
Yeah.
Just a job.
And you're being managed by a manager and not a leader, I think is something that's quite common these days. People just telling you what to do and telling you what you can't do, rather than empowering you to make you feel part of a collective, where ultimately you're all there for one common goal, which is to deliver a top quality service for the people that are on your parks, that are buying homes, and you should all come together and be able to feel that you can contribute, and also share when things maybe aren't going so well, because that's how we collectively all get better, and yeah, and the customer experience.
You can only learn by making mistakes. If you think of making mistakes as being like a ladder, your team is all climbing the same ladder, but somebody has to go first, and that's normally the leader. Well, the leader needs to pass that information down to his second in command, that there's a bit of a ropey run on number 4. Give it a miss. Something as simple as that. If his number 2 passes it to number 3, and then number 3 doesn't pass it to number 4, you're starting the whole experience again of making the same mistake again.
Yeah.
So learning from the mistakes of others is so important.
Yeah, definitely. Switching tack slightly, I know that you're a man that likes to get up, out and at it on an early basis. How do you find that work-life balance? I know because you obviously have shared that because you're passionate about your work and that's what's driving you, you don't feel like it's work. But still, how do you balance that, all those tasks and things that you have to do versus your life balance and family and having downtime for yourself?
I don't want to give you a hollow answer, and I don't want to give you a wishy-washy answer. I don't. Work comes first. Business comes first. And I love what I do. I'm a businessman through and through, and that's my passion. Have I been, a good husband? Have I been a good father? Have I been a good partner? The answer is no, I haven't. To all of those, the work came first. Have I been a good provider? Yes, I have. Have I been a hard father to my children? Yes, I have. But luckily, I had a family around me that understood and embraced those goals that I had put in place, and they've benefited from them. But there is
the reality of it is, I'm sorry to cut in there, is that I was actually having this conversation this morning with my in-laws about finding that balance between providing to a level that can provide long-term security and still being there as a family person. I'm not entirely convinced that exists, because the process that you have to go through in order to create that stability for your loved ones and family can only come really unless you've given the money, which whatever, but it requires hard work, dedication, long hours, and so the two can't really go hand in hand.
Look, let me tell you this. There is a lot of people that are going to frown upon me for what I'm going to say now. My daughters boyfriend, we were all out, and he had to take a call with regard to his business. He runs a business which he clears waste and chemical waste and toxin waste, that type of thing. And it was a new customer that was coming in. So he got up from the table to take the call. So when he sat back down, call came again. It's fine. Then he sat down, another call, and he had to take the call again.
Yeah.
I just accepted it. My daughter,
That time?
to my surprise, said to him, "Oh, can't you turn the phone off now?" And I looked at her and I went, "Are you mad?" I said, "That's the secret to success, taking the call when nobody else will." Now, my daughter is a very sharp, she's already, she works here in the business, but she is already in the process of buying her own park. And she's a very astute where that's concerned. And she's been around that sort of life, so I was surprised. But you know something? I've had it said to me as well. And to me, it was like, really? Why would I not take that call? That's business. But it happened to me. And it's happened to me on a number of occasions that I've rung somebody, quite an influential person. And he went, "I can't talk at the moment. I'm out with the family. This will have to wait until tomorrow when I'm in work." What, really? "Oh, okay, fine, thanks." Do you know what I did? I rang the next person. Yeah. He didn't wait till tomorrow. He then rang me the next day. I remember the call. "Hi, Alfie, how are you?" "Oh, I'm great." About that contract that I went, "I'm sorry, it's with somebody else." "Why?" I went, "You couldn't deal with it yesterday. And I had a flooding chamber on a park." I said, "With residents with no sewerage." I said, "That contract has now been given to somebody else. That person that I gave that one contract to, I gave them another 24 contracts to deal with our treatment plants." Why? Because I needed a company. I needed a head of the head honcho, the CEO, to be concerned about my residents, not somebody that's. And I don't knock him for putting his family first on that social time, and I don't. And that man has found that balance, and I commend him. I really do. I do. But I can't commend him with the contract that I gave to somebody else.
Yeah, I understand. In terms of people, so talking about respect and influence, who in the business community would you say that you have the most respect for, whether it's someone in the public eye or not? Is there someone that really has your utmost respect for how they've handled their career and business and life?
I have the utmost total respect for everybody in business. Everybody. That's the first starting block. Anybody that has taken the chance, that has signed a guarantor to lose their house in the face of darkness, and that's what it is, because there is no guarantee you're going to be successful in what you do. None. So I have the utmost admiration from the window cleaner that went out there and started his business to Richard Branson.
Yeah, it is very tough. And I think one of my questions is, do you think the government should and could do more to support those business owners that make that call, that make that leap of faith into starting out in business? Because it feels, as a small business owner myself, it feels like I don't get any reward or leniency or benefits for having taken that risk and trying to get a business off the ground.
We live in a country that's half empty, not half full. You go to America it's the other way around. It's half full, not half empty. And that pretty well comes from, believe it or not, how I see it, the weather in the country, as stupid as that may sound. And I'll come to that in a minute. We don't know how to dress. We get up, is it cold? Is it raining? And it's raining out. The sun comes, it's too hot today. Well, I can't put up with this cold. It's a negative. Instead of saying, you know, I'm going to learn how to sing in the rain, and I'm going to learn how to sunbathe in the sun, and I'm going to wrap up and have a cracking day because it's cold and chilly, but the cold and chill kills all the bugs. You know, taking a positive spin on it all the time. It's like we love to talk about the weather here. So that then corresponds onto business. There's no celebration of business here. There's no celebration of our entrepreneurs that have done great jobs. The first time they get to stick the knife in, Richard Branson the other day asked for help on a global airline that competes with British Airways. He got slated. The man was only asking for help to support his airline. And there is going to be a lot of people that are watching this podcast, why should we help him? Why should we do this? Because he employs maybe 2,000 people.
Yeah.
Because he pays so much tax through those employees. Because he's bringing wealth to the country. You know, that's the reason why.
Yeah.
The more businesses that we have here that are global, the better our economy will run. Let's just take, for instance, pubs. The government made the decision, knee-jerk reaction, close pubs. Should never have happened. Pubs should never have closed. What they did was they caused a business across the whole of the UK to become dismantled, and then forced the trade that used to buy their licensed alcohol from licensed premises to go down to the supermarket and buy it there. So they created a boom because they increased their trade by closing another business. What they should have done was spread the wealth and said, sorry, alcohol can only be purchased from an outlet that is licensed like a pub. You just cannot consume it on the premises. So then all of the food and all of our supplies would have been purchased from the supermarkets. The alcohol would have still been being purchased from the pubs.
Keeping them turning over.
Keeping them turning over. They'd have brought their staffing levels down. Those businesses would have learned how to sell online much better. But what they did was, you shut, you boom.
Yeah, the story of the rich getting richer. But coming part of that, you know, I guess a direct question, it can be a quite short answer if you want. In your view, who or what would make the best prime minister? Is it a politician or is it a business person? Or is it someone that's both?
It's definitely somebody that is both. A businessman cannot be a politician. That's a fact, because he thinks solely with a commercial mind.
I agree.
He has to, you know, whereas a politician thinks of the economy and the UK as a nation and is a lot better at never giving you a straight answer.
Yeah, I think what I'm hearing is you can teach a business person how to be a politician, you know, in terms of being a diplomat and relationships and stuff like that, but it'll always have that core experience and knowledge of business at heart.
Look, I completely agree. I think it's a mixture of two. And if you asked me what would make the perfect politician, it would be a professional politician that has come from a family of business where he has worked in the shop, worked on the floor, worked on the tools, and seen the pain that his father has had to go through, or his mother has had to go through, his family have had to go through, where they've nearly lost their house, where the bank manager's been on the door and said, well, how are you going to make the next payment? Where, you know, he has 200 employees or 100 employees that he has to cater for at the end of the month, making sure that their salaries are there. You know, that would make the perfect politician, because he is a politician through and through, but he's seen the pain and struggles that businesses are in.
Yeah, absolutely. Now that we are technically, and I guess legally out the other side of Brexit, I'm not going to get into that that debate on which side you fell, but do you feel that's made your mission, your ambition to be the largest residential park operator in the world more difficult to achieve? I'm not going to say, I don't think it's going to be easier, but has it made it more difficult?
No, not at all. Whatever obstacles are put there, they're only put there for us to get over. Obstacle courses will do two things to you. They will make you fitter and wiser on how to get over them and how to accomplish them, or you will stop at the first hurdle. Make a choice. This isn't, Brexit is neither here nor there. I'll tell you exactly what my vote was. My vote was to stay in. Don't fix something that's not broken. The moment the decision was made, I said, let's get out. Simple as that. Let's not, you know, but you know, the good old great Labour and Conservatives wanted to have a row about it, wanted to argue about it. Now, I have a lot of time for people that pin their colours to the mast. Nigel Farage, for instance, love him or hate him, I commend him because he fought for what he thought, what he wanted, what he thought was right. And not once has he taken a backtrack and said, well, maybe I was a bit hasty or give up. No, we need to be out. Rightly or wrongly, he always pinned his colours to the mast. I give him admiration for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you still have a business coach / mentor? And the second part of that question is it something, because I know you offer that as a service, but is within your businesses, obviously you wouldn't coach and mentor your own staff. Is that something you encourage your employees to invest in themselves with?
No, I signed up with one today for them. That's a fact. Look, I have 3 different mentors and coaches that work with me in different fields. I use them all the time. Let me explain. Do you know any businessman that says I'm a great businessman and you know, this is what I do, and let me give you plenty of advice about everything? Don't take any advice from him. Or the best businessmen will always tell you we are always students. And a student continually learns.
Well, to give an example of that and where how I think and operate, given my business where we help people help them scale up by implementing the right technology stack so they can scale, we want to get involved in analytics, predictive analytics, and helping them understand their data. Now, I don't mind admitting maths was not my strong suit at school and still isn't. And I know the calculations I need within business, but complex calculations I don't know. Now, fortunately, our next door neighbors, the family there, they're all super intelligent, and maths is their strong suit. So I don't mind admitting I've brought in 2 of their kids, an 18-year-old Oleg and Pavel, who's 17, just doing A-levels, who have the skills that I need to benefit from. And so I've invited them in and shared why I need their help, and they've willingly helped. And I said, in return, what I'll share with you is how you can use what you're learning in school in business. So actually realizing, normalizing all that textbook stuff that you're doing, I'll help relate that into how that benefits business and how you can use that knowledge. So yeah, I'm definitely not adverse to saying I have no idea how to do something. Who do I know in my network that can help me? And it doesn't matter who they are, where they come from, or even how old they are. You know, I'm getting the help of some teenagers.
The mentoring that I do is I pick which people come to us, and the first thing that I do is I let them think about it for at least a couple of weeks of what they want, because we have people that come to me sometimes for mentoring. They expect me to wave a magic wand and make their business great, and I can't do that for them, and I can only be successful through their success when I'm mentoring them. So what I do is I do a 1 hour session per month, and then I do 15-minute every 2 weeks in the same month to double check they're on track with what we've put in place. So it's not about mentoring them, it's about mentoring them in the experience of the form, taking it forward, not just telling them, you know, what they need to do and how great it is. It's actually then, okay, well, what we spoke about, you now need to write these up into a system, because systems are what make great businesses duplicatable. From one-man band to 1,000 army strong company. It's the systems. And when you're being mentored by somebody, you don't need to be told how great you are. They should be doing that anyway. They should be building your confidence up. But the most important thing is to find out what you want. You find out where your business is at this moment in time. And a lot of people, I would say most, think their business is there, when in effect it's there. And what the realization is, and I have a very simple answer, followed by a simple question afterwards. And the answer is, can you sell your business now? And it's already an answer, because I know they can't.
Yeah.
And then the next question is, then the question after is, do you want to sell your business at some point? So then we need to set where that is. And then we need to see, am I the person to get them to that point on their expectations? And if I'm not, I refuse to take them.
Yeah, we experience this, or I experienced part of that when we're helping people set up the systems to help them scale. And you know, I'm very much like you. I'll just lay it on the line, share what I know, and that's all I can do. Share what I know about where they're trying to get to, and helping them set things up that can get them to that point. And what I mean by that is, you know, if you are looking to seek some investment in 2 or 3 years time, or you are looking to exit in X period of time, that's going to require that compelling event requires certain things being in place, checks, balances, data to back up the valuation of the business. And so you can't just magic that up at the time. It requires a whole history to support what you're saying. And so it's really critical that we put certain things in place now and start to gather that data so that you have that when the time comes, because you can't retrospectively just make data happen. So,
well, let me tell you about something that I did that I failed at. We have a company called the Alfie Property Growth Academy. And the first event we did, which was about 18 months ago, it was completely sold out. It was a phenomenal event and people loved it. The recognition that I got from it was overwhelming, with the emails that got sent back. Like, we've never been to an event like it. It was brilliant. It was exceptional. The information, all of the whole thing. But I failed those people miserably. And I failed at that event. Let me tell you why. I'd forgotten my own rule of success. So that tells you any of us can make mistakes. And I made one. I'll tell you what it was. Success is built on a ladder. It is one step at a time. What I did at that event, I explained the whole ladder. I gave them the first step, the second step, the third step, the whole thing all the way up. It's too much information. It was overload. You don't go to school and they go, there's algebra. They go, no, there's the alphabet, and you need to learn that, and that takes time to learn. I made a fundamental mistake of going out and just wanting to make this great event. And you know, I loved it. I was like, that info, where they couldn't get it in. And they're right, but I don't think any of them used it. And they were blown away by what I was saying. But you have to endorse your own mistakes. After that, I made sure I changed it. And I made sure those baby steps work.
Absolutely. The age-old adage, you can't eat an elephant, you know, you've got to, in one go, you've got to break it up. Do people ever come to you pitching businesses? And if so, what are the common mistakes that you see in how they pitch, or things that they don't know? Because we watch Dragon's Den, for example, and quite often people, you know, they describe the business great, they describe the market wonderfully, everything's going swimmingly, you're thinking yes, they're going to get the investment, and then they start asking about the numbers and it all goes south from there.
Well, I have an awful lot of people come to pitch me with businesses, and to be fair with you, the worst mistake that somebody can do is pitch a business to a professional that they need in their business without putting a value on that professional. I wished I'd have known that when I first started in business, because I even did the same thing myself. I went to people thinking I had the greatest business in the world, but I actually needed them much more than they needed me. They could have catapulted my businesses, but they put no value. They think they found the golden arc, they're delivering it to you, but they forgot at the door it was a privilege to get through it. Because there's 100 other people pitching as well. And the moment they're through the door, you're no longer that important entrepreneur that they need. They're an equal to you. And they start to forget. And it's only that where they then go, thank you, I'm not interested. Because I won't even give an explanation if I feel it's been so condescending that they've sat there and told me about this great business. I know nothing about what they're talking about, and they're telling me, I'm really sorry about this.
No dramas.
And I find it very condescending. It's like going to a maths school and then telling the maths teacher how to add up.
Interesting. Just a couple of more questions to wrap up. First one, if you were to start up again, I know you've explained your approach, but if you were giving advice to someone else and people did want to go down the raising money, would you use a VC, a PE, or angel money?
The first place that I would go is to all of the high street banks. Here's the reason why. Those high street banks have managers, and you want your manager to look through your business, not to lend money off of him, to tell you where the failings and the flaws are. Because banks don't lend money unless they're absolutely sure it's going to work. So you're getting free advice, you're getting free consultation before you go down the road of a VC. Before you go down the road, go with others, because one, they might surprise you, and two, they'll tell you the negatives from a financial point of view, and you can correct them before you start putting your head in the lion's mouth.
Yeah, because they will rip your arm off and your leg, and yeah, think nothing of it. Of the dragons, have you ever been approached to go on Dragon's Den? And if you were, would you?
I think it's a great program. I love the program. I think we need more of them. I have been spoken to by an agent. Is it something that I wanted to do? I said yes, but I didn't get through to the final bit of where they asked me back. Is the honest answer?
Okay, fair enough. And to wrap it up, and you know, I wanted to say this one at the end because it is your passion and your mission to become the world's largest residential park business. What's the driving factor behind that for you?
Legacy, creating a business that lives on long after I'm gone, and putting that into a format that I can create generational wealth for the family, for the medium to long-term future of the next 4 generations.
Great.
And by doing that,
I know you've also mentioned that you also feel that as a byproduct of that passion is that it can be a part of the solution for the housing crisis that we have in this country. Just simply, we don't have enough homes for the amount of people we have.
I was actually going to say that the main, so that's there, and I will not be condescending enough to say different, but the main passion gets me out of bed to push this business to be the global operator in the park home industry is that not could be, not would be, we are providing, and it is the solution to affordable housing, because when a home is sold, it stays affordable. It doesn't, at the moment, affordable housing is like pouring water in a bucket with holes coming out the bottom, because the moment the property goes into the mainstream, it becomes normal. It's no longer affordable. Whereas the property that we sell is gauged at 50%, whether it's new or a used home. 50% below market value of a property. So you don't lose your money, you still make your money, but it's affordable.
And you're free of equity to have a nice lifestyle, or
to live the life that you deserve.
Absolutely. Alfie, thank you so much. I've really appreciated spending this time with you, and thank you for your honest and answers. Whether people like them or not, as you say, you've just been true to yourself. Thanks for the business insights. Appreciate everything you've done. And long may it continue, and I wish you every success in that mission that you've got there.
I wish you the same, Lee. I wish you every success, and anybody that watches this. If I could just add one thing about business. Start. Don't let anybody stop you. Just start. Good luck.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Alfie. Thanks for joining us on this episode of Business Source. Look forward to seeing you on the next episode.